Welcome back to the Game Informer Show. I'm still your host, Ben Reeves. I'm not changing, no matter how much you ask. I have Alex Stadnick.
Hello, friends. Hope you're doing well.
Dan Tack.
Great to be here as always, Ben.
Yeah, you're my ringer here. And then we have a very special guest with us today. We have Dave Kurd. Dave, how's it going?
It's going really well. Excited to be here. Thanks for having me, guys.
Awesome. Yeah. We had you on the show last year. I believe you were like the art director back then for for PUBG's Madison office.
Yes.
I think you've leveled up since then. You're studio director now?
Yeah. I mean, everybody wears a lot of hats at PUBG, but I just like to tell people it's my job to come up with cool, creative content and work with really smart people to make it happen. Yeah,
cool. What was that transition like?
It's really been great. PUBG has always been supportive of Madison's efforts, and they let me try crazy stuff. Every time a season comes up, they ask us what we're excited to try. So it's been smooth. It's a dream job to be frank.
Awesome, cool. We have this section on the show where we call it our playlist, like what we're playing now. I assume you're playing a ton of PUBG. Is there anything else that you've been playing recently?
I'm getting back into GTA 5. I kind of dusted it off. Just wanted to play the campaign again. I've been playing a lot of Civilization 6 and Fire Pro Wrestling on the PS4. It's kind of a deep cut, but that's been really fun to play with as well.
Yeah. Do you just spend a lot of time just making your own characters, or do you actually like the wrestling?
Yes. So I guess I don't like. It's a love-hate thing. I'm in
like
the
me
career
and Dan
mode. Yeah, I'm in.
What?
I love it all. It's an amazing product.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I haven't dabbled in that one too much, but I don't know. Now's the time. Summer's cooling off. Although now I hear there's a lot of reason to dive into PUBG. Like you guys are doing a Sanhok Remaster and Season 8 and all that. Like what's going on with PUBG?
Season 8 just launched. We have the Payback Survivor Pass, and the deal is we've totally remastered Sanhok. We're calling it a remaster, not a visual update, because every rock, blade of grass, tree, building has been recreated from the ground up. I'd say from new gameplay experience, the map's about 40% different. So, we're hitting all the same beats of old Sanhok, but we like to say the melody's sweeter. We took places that weren't so great, hopefully made them really great. Worked on the terrain to make that fun. And we're introducing the loot truck, which is a mobile care package that kind of hopefully invites really interesting choices for players, right? Do they take fights? Do they hunt the players that hunt the loot truck? Do they try to find a spike strip? Do they play around the loot truck? Do they avoid it? So yeah, it's a really good time to jump into PUBG.
That's a really cool idea. Now I'm admittedly a battle royale idiot. I just not very good at those games, but that's why I brought Dan Tack in, because he's our pro gamer here at Game Informer, and we're going to do like a good cop, bad cop kind of interview for you. I'll let you decide who's good and bad, but Dan, do you have any questions?
Oh, sure. Just at the high level, I guess, like there's so many battle royales, with PUBG being one of the front runners, and it's still one of the ones that is, definitely still really popular. What do you think the next step for like the battle royales to separate themselves from each other is? Like, what's the next big thing for battle royale development? Like, what's the next new mechanic or feature that's going to really take people to the next level for BR?
I think it's a great question. Internally, we obviously ask ourselves the same thing. For me, I'm considering what's beyond the blue circle, right? That's kind of what you attach to the genre. Got 100 or so folks. The circle gets small. Everybody fights it out. But I think there's undiscovered country there. And, we're also with the loot truck, you're kind of seeing what's next now in terms of AI. We wanted this autonomous truck that made its own decisions, cruising around the map and getting a little bit of light PvPvE, into the game is intriguing. And so that's where my head's at, beyond the blue circle, and then AI, I think, are the next big frontiers.
Do you guys feel like you figured out what's beyond the circle? Have you figured it out?
We're starting to see the path, right? This is
a triangle.
Well, exactly. Newsflash, suckers. We've got a diamond shape. It's an inverted square. No, so PUBG obviously is a game that we're always working on. It's an evergreen title. every update, we're trying to put new features in, trying to like make it cool, optimize it. And so we, believe it or not, we do have kind of a multi-year plan, and we're trying to shape where the genre is going versus trying to keep up or be influenced by others.
For sure.
Sure. Do you feel that that respawn mechanics are going to become just sort of a staple for the genre? I mean, the genre started where there was no respawning, you can't come back. That's a big part of it, part of building up the tension and all that stuff and the stakes. And now most games do have at least some way to come back even after dying.
Yeah, I think in a lot of games it works really well. I think it super feels good in Warzone. But I think, and I can't, I'm not going to say never, but my perspective is the kind of high stakes, high tension is kind of what makes the chicken dinner so sweet. I think if I made it to the end, but I was brought back from the dead 3 or 4 times, I think it loses a little bit of that like PUBG-ness. I definitely feel like kind of almost like Dark Souls, PUBG, when it hit, it was almost like an anti-game. It wasn't approachable. It wasn't friendly. It didn't care about your feelings. And when you actually win, you remember it. Everybody I talk to that's won a chicken dinner can usually tell me all of the beats in that first time they won.
Speaking of Respawn released Apex Legends, and they're not the only ones that are releasing Battle Royale games. Ubisoft just debuted theirs, and it feels like a lot of people are getting into the game, which everybody predicted was happening. How much do you guys pay attention to the competitions that's out there? Are you guys looking at Fortnite and being like, well, we got to do what they're doing? Or how much are you worried about what other people are doing?
I don't think it's healthy to worry about what other people are doing, right? Like we have to be focused on kind of what we're passionate about and what's interesting to us. And at the same time, I think it's good for the Battle Royale genre that you're seeing all these different takes, whether it's playing with speed or with new map stuff. Like the Ubisoft offering has really interesting map ideas. I love COD gameplay. I worked for COD for a number of years, so I definitely think Warzone's putting out a great product. Fortnite's production values are insane. And Apex is super cool. So like they're all bringing something new and unique to the table. But I think the second we start trying to out COD, or like, what if we could move like Apex? Then it's not PUBG anymore, and we've lost kind of what makes us special.
Sure. And where were you last night?
I was last night. I was playing until 6 a.m.
Oh yeah, and you have an alibi?
Yeah, I can show you my scores.
All right.
We won 2 chicken dinners.
I think we know which cop you are now.
Oh
yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
That was good. Kept me on my toes. What sucks is I was like, oh my god, I think I'm seriously in trouble. Like is this gotcha journalism? What was I doing last night?
Dan, you want to show him your badge?
No, I would like to ask another question though, if that's okay with you, Ben. So the last time I really had a great time in PUBG was when you guys had that special event where you could play as the barbarian and like all that other weird stuff. That was just so unlike what was normally in the game, like playing as those fantasy characters. Has there ever been any consideration to actually like work on something actually like that, like way outside of PUBG scope, maybe like a PvE mode or anything like that? So like just completely out of the regular scope, or is it all about making the Battle Royale experience better?
I think it's both. I think Fantasy Royale was really well received. I think we're trying to think both about the evolution of the core game and then, what are fun kind of outside of the box events we can provide to players. Weirdly, Karakin was intended to be an event map. I thought it was going to be limited time only. And I think because of that kind of smaller, chaotic gameplay, it really kind of got sticky and fans asked us to keep it around. But we definitely have interest in making weirder, more interesting content, because I think we're all really involved in trying to feel the edges of what good BR is. And I think you don't know what that edge is until you cross it. So, Fantasy Royale was interesting because I think some people were like, oh, this is too far, this is crazy. And some people really, it made them feel something because so much of it is the same nowadays. All these games are kind of blending together. So we absolutely want to keep trying weird.
Obviously, a big talker these days is the coronavirus, which has totally changed how everybody just works and plays. But for you guys, that's both. What has it been like? I'm sure you get this question a lot, but what's it been like working in this period where everybody's at home? Are you guys all at home? Have you opened up the office at all?
Yeah, we've all been working from home. Obviously the mothership is in Seoul, and they kind of saw firsthand what they were, what we would be in for. So, I'm proud that PUBG Madison was the first kind of Madison game devs to go work from home full time. I think we went home early to mid-February. And, what was great was we had the pre-production pretty locked in for Sanhok. We understood the features. We understood where we were going. So everyone's been really productive. I think people, frankly, wanted to prove that work from home works, so you don't really lose productivity. And they know that the season's kind of hanging on our efforts, and they don't want to let anybody down. So I'm incredibly proud of the team for pulling through, because we're like in the fun business, and you kind of turn on the news or look outside and it's not very fun. So to kind of be able to shake that off and really make cool content is it's amazing. I'm going to look back at this map years from now, and it's going to be tied to the COVID times, right? That's always going to be married. And yeah, it's bittersweet. I definitely miss being in the office. I miss the camaraderie. Frankly, there's just going to be discoveries and interesting concepts, blue sky conversations that can only happen kind of in person on that walk to lunch. But, we're just like you guys, we're video chatting like crazy and, having weekly meetings. In 45 minutes, I've got our end of the week, news catch up. So yeah, just like you guys, we're muddling through, but yeah, it's been very interesting.
Any big lessons you've learned working on this new remastered map or season 8? What are the big lessons?
I think we've grown as Battle Royale developers. I think, when we just started, Sanhok was Madison's kind of first map on our own. And it was really just kind of a big landmass with TDM locations sprinkled around, right? So through our making lots of content, talking with the fans, talking with esports professionals, which has been great, and then just looking at like 1 million hours of saved heat map data, we were able to learn, oh man, these rivers really do suck, and this mountain really is too overpowered. And Ruins is an interesting idea, but it's just not getting the love. Or Docks is fun and nobody goes there. So you kind of just take all these lessons, and that really helps inform the actual remaster. We're able to say, hey, Coconut Farm, nobody's going to. It's not worth their time. They don't want to get caught outside the circle. So why don't we put an airfield there, spawn some gliders, maybe get a little bit of gasoline, and now we're getting a little bit more play on the edges of the map.
Do you ever find that by making all those changes to the map based on that thing that there's a danger of taking all the flavor out of the map, I guess? Because players get that in their mind. They're like, oh, I'm not going to go there, or oh, I want the overpowered mountain.
Yeah.
And that creates its own kind of meta around it.
Or there's people complaining to like, hey, where's my coconuts? There's probably people out there like that, right?
Oh, that's the funniest thing is whenever you change something, people come out of the woodworks on Reddit and they're like, that was my favorite feature. You guys have betrayed me. And everyone's like, upvote. Yeah, that is my favorite thing. But yeah, you can't please everybody. We just celebrated our 70 millionth unit sold, which puts us kind of just under Wii Sports for, I think we're at number 4, number 5 of all time. So There's a lot of, it's crazy. So
Congrats.
There's a lot.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It is amazing. It's crazy. So you can't please all those guys, right? There's going to be veterans that, hey, here's the ecosystem. You've got the new user that, saw it on Steam sale for $10. They're giving it a shot. You've got, kind of casuals like myself that, have less than 500 hours. And you've got, streamers that play, and esports guys that play it as a job with 5,000-6,000 hours. So you've got a spectrum of people that have just started, played 3 years, and then have experienced the content so deeply, as you've said. So that was absolutely on our minds when we started this remaster was, hey, Sanhok already enjoys a really high pick rate. People really dig it. We could make it worse. People could not like it. That's always possible. But I, sincerely believe that if you are a Sanhok fan and you do have 1,000 or 2,000 hours, you're probably going to appreciate some new things to discover and some new strategies to develop. And hopefully all of the changes we've made really make it better for players to travel across the island, like narrowing the rivers, adding more bridges, making big mountains strong, but not overwhelmingly overpowered. sprinkling a little bit more cover in there, should encourage players to be more active and explore more of the island. I think the edges of the map were so unforgiving that really you had this cluster of Paradise, Boot Camp, and Ruins, that triangle. That's really where players tended to focus, and they kind of just totally avoided the northwest quadrant of the map because they didn't want to fight that mountain. So, to put a button on it, yeah, it's scary to change stuff because you can like really turn the community against you if you do it wrong. But, I think we understand a lot of that, what makes Sanhok work, because we kind of made the first one, and, we're passionate developers. We love what we do. This isn't a job. So we had our own opinions. We talked to the fans. We talked to esports. So I'm hoping that most people really love it. And obviously it's honeymoon phase. People are excited just to have new content, no matter if it's good or bad. But I've been playing the damn thing for, 6 months. So, and it still feels good to me. So I hope the community agrees.
For sure.
Do you guys find that you ever overdo it a little bit? Like, here's an area of a map. We wanted to make a hotspot, and then like, oh, now everybody wants to be here and there's too many people here, or we thought we were making things better and oops, we sort of broke it.
That's definitely why we play test, right? Like, we don't want to make things that are so overpowered. Like, if you make a hot drop too amazing, your just frame rate's going to die because all 90 guys want to like land right there. So yeah, that was an interesting challenge on Karakin. It's kind of a unique BR map in that it's kind of the standard island, but all of the towns are on the coast with kind of a mountain range in the middle and kind of big hills between. And we did this to mitigate hot dropping. We tried to make Karakin hot drop proof almost, because it's a very small map and 64 players on the plane. So we had to kind of make all 5 towns equally interesting and loot dense. And those mountains are there to kind of protect the towns from looking at each other and kind of counter sniping. So that's the kind of interesting stuff that, is beyond just the like, oh, it's a landmass with cool TDM locations. Is just as you've said, how do we make sure the gravity, the magnetism of one area isn't so strong that everything else sucks?
Yeah. Do you find that when you're talking about like player feedback, do you find that kind of feedback differs between like veterans and like either more casual players or people who are just finding PUBG, and how do you balance that?
Oh, and it's crazier than that because it's also across regions, right? Like the Asian audience has a very different appetite than the NA audience, has a different appetite than Latin America. So the best way that I've found is to kind of follow my own compass. You try to take in all the feedback, you hear what people are passionate about. You absolutely look out for things that are clearly not working. But then you just try to go out and make something that you yourself find fun. Like if I don't like it, if my team doesn't like it, we change it. I think the second you try to court an audience or just please an audience or placate an audience, you're going to lose a little bit of that soul, and the players will absolutely feel it.
Last year, Glenn Schofield, he joined the PUBG family. He's setting up a new studio actually to make single player content for PUBG, supposedly. Have you worked with him much? Have you, downloaded each other's intel or like mind melded and just shared knowledge about video game development?
Glenn's a great guy. We worked together a little bit on Advanced Warfare when I was at Raven and he was still with SHG. In terms of the new product, we've been seeing what each other's up to, and it's, I guess no spoilers. It looks incredible. I'm very excited for it to be shared with the community because it's pretty bananas. And he's just a great guy to kind of talk to and ask about game development because he's kind of seen it all and done it all.
Has he influenced what you guys are doing at all in any way?
No, we're definitely, out to provide very different experiences and just it's. I think where the influence is looking at his pursuit of quality, his attention to detail, his like love of the craft. But what we're setting out to do is so very different that those are the high level takeaways. Just try to run a studio like Glenn does, and take those lessons. But in terms of making games, I think we're out here just trying to make some kick VR maps.
Speaking of making kick stuff, what's the wildest concept that you guys like prototyped or tried out but never put into the game?
Okay, so I had an idea. Okay, better not. So,
No, we want this one.
no. Like because I think I'm going to try to do it next season. So I'm going to hold it back.
Oh, okay.
But I would say here's what's cool is that our team kind of at the beginning of the season we kind of built a little plan and we have hard debates and hard chats. And we kind of set out to make stuff, and so far it's worked out. I mean, Black Zone was controversial, challenging, changing the map in real time, having the map evolve in one match. Could have gone really poorly, could have been really crazy, but I think we pulled that off. And Loot Truck, maybe I got to balance that loot a little bit. Maybe it's a little too sweet, but I think Loot Truck has been a hit, and I'm definitely seeing all the replays of the Loot Truck just wrecking other cars and smashing players, and the doors will shoot off and cut heads off, and that's all been good. So I'm really trying to think if there's just something bananas that we've okay, real talk. When we had sticky bombs, we thought it was fun to stick the bombs to each other, and our executive producer, who I love, said that that's not realistic because that's not how that stuff works, and he's 100% right, and it does kind of make the game pretty silly. But I'd be lying if I said that it wasn't super fun to hit a stick, hear that little cell phone, and just blow up a guy.
So are you guys still working on ways to make it more realistic so you can get that back?
Yeah, well, that's the thing is like sticky bomb is interesting because in like World War II times there was grenades covered with like sticky tar and but every other sticky bomb is kind of a pop culture invention. It's just kind of a thing we've all agreed as a society exists, but it kind of doesn't really exist. So, are there magnets under the C4? Are there magnets under the sticky bomb? Like, are the magnets strong enough to stick to a guy's bag? These are the things that I'm kind of a little bit more Hollywood. Just, of course it sticks to guys because of science. But, our animation and gunplay team who drive so much of PUBG's realism, they're like, hey guys, we're not trying, like I said, about kind of sticking in our lane and not trying to get too arcadey or too silly. So it's really hard to leave something fun on the table because it's kind of better for the vibe and the target emotion you want your players to experience.
Yeah. How do you guys toe that line then between realism and what fits the game? Because, on some level, this idea of a shrinking ring that if you step outside of it, you die is kind of unrealistic, right? So what makes it something that's worth putting in PUBG and something that's like, this is sci-fi?
Yeah, I think that's a really hard thing to delineate because, our lore team has kind of developed the idea. I don't know if it's announced. Maybe this whole bit you can check with Hero to make sure we're allowed to talk about. But in one of our trailers last year, we showed all the guys jumping out of the plane, and kind of behind their ears was a faint little kind of flashing blue light. And so the idea is there's these chips in all of the competitors, and so the blue ring is not really like a lightning storm or something that's zapping the players, but rather it's kind of the visual kind of hey, this is the edges of the border. Once you're on the other side of the border, that chip's going to hurt the head. But yeah, to answer the question, as long as it passes kind of a vibe check, which is something that T.S. Jang, our executive producer, has always been a great arbiter of like what feels PUBG and what doesn't. So yeah, it's a little bit arbitrary, when you're trying to find your own visual direction. I think Brendan Green said it best. We're hard, but not hardcore. We are a serious world where funny stuff happens, right? It's this life or death struggle, 100 players, and someone's dressed like a dinosaur, someone's dressed like a schoolgirl. But it kind of makes sense in this world where the elite pay to watch these insane games and, crazy people down on their luck. A lot of people join these games for different reasons. They have different motivations. Some of them are going to be crazy. Some of them are going to express themselves. Maybe they're streamers and they wear their funny costumes to get fans.
Yeah, for sure. Dave, one more question, and don't play games with me. Have you seen this boy?
Man, John Connor, I have not seen him lately. Okay. I know we have, in the past at the arcade, played games together, but this
That's
month,
weird. It just fell off
No.
the face of the earth. I don't know what happened to him.
I think honestly, if you look into his background, he wasn't the best kid. He had, I think there was shoplifting in there, and I think he didn't really, I don't know. I don't want to say he had it coming. I don't want to say he was a bad kid, but I think if you just do your homework, you might be surprised.
Well, Dave, you've been a great sport. Dan, Alex, any further questions? I think we can let him go.
No, I think that's.
I don't think
that's
he's
great.
our man.
No.
Could I tease what's coming in 8.2 and 8.3?
Yeah, totally. What's coming on in the next season or 8.3?
Yeah, so obviously we have, so right now everyone's playing 8.1. We've debuted the loot truck. In 8.2, we've got a really cool machine gun coming out that we're really excited about. You guys have probably seen the decoy grenade in the trailer that's going to come out, and that thing has been a blast in playtest, and it's really satisfying as a creator to fall for the trick you have put in the game, right? So the decoy grenade still tricks me. And in 8.3, we have something really cool coming that I can only tease by saying it really changes how the player interacts with the environment. And I think that's going to do some interesting things for the meta. So stay tuned.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, Dave. Have a good rest of the day and good work on the game.
See you guys out there. Come fight me. My name is Kurt Stuff on Twitter. Tell me feedback. Tell me if the game sucks. Tell me if the game's cool. And come fight me in real life. All right. Bye, guys.
Oh, that's challenging, buddy.